You have been losing power your entire life. And the most dangerous part is that you probably called it being polite. Every time you responded to someone who didn't deserve your words, you gave them a piece of your attention. Every time you explained yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you, you handed them control over your emotional state. You didn't lose because they were stronger. You lost because you kept paying the price of access without realizing what you were spending. Attention is not free. It is the most expensive currency you possess. It is time, energy, emotional bandwidth, and mental clarity. Once it's spent, it's gone. And yet most people spend it like it's unlimited. They argue with strangers. They defend themselves to people who don't respect them. They chase validation from those who would never protect them. And slowly, without noticing, they build a life where their mood depends on external voices. The modern world trains you to react instantly. It rewards fast replies, public arguments, and emotional performance. It makes you feel like silence means weakness, like walking away means losing, like not explaining yourself means you're guilty. But real strength doesn't live in constant response. Real strength lives in restraint. Power is not loud. Power is controlled. Power does not need to prove itself every time someone throws a stone. Machiavelli understood something timeless about human nature. The person who chases becomes smaller. The person who withdraws becomes heavier. Not because withdrawal is manipulation, but because it reveals self-control. When you respond to every insult, you show the world you can be pulled. When you answer every critic, you show the world you can be provoked. But when you remain calm, when you refuse to be dragged into noise, you communicate something deeper than words ever could. You don't have access to my peace. Silence is misunderstood. People think silence is emptiness. But silence is a statement. It says you are not emotionally available for chaos. It says you don't need to defend your dignity. It says you are operating from an inner center that does not shake every time someone speaks. That kind of calm is rare, and because it's rare, it is powerful. This is where most people fail. They understand the strategy, but they cannot tolerate the feeling. The disrespect stings. The insult burns. The nervous system screams for reaction. And the moment they react, the other person wins, not because they were right, but because they successfully took control of the emotional frame. They pulled you into their game. They forced you to play on their board. But the truth is, not every game deserves a move. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every person deserves access. And the moment you accept this, your life begins to change. Your mind becomes quieter. Your energy stops leaking. Your attention returns to you. The hardest part is psychological. At first, silence feels wrong. It feels rude. It feels like you're letting someone get away with it. But that feeling comes from conditioning. You were trained to believe you must always explain yourself. You were trained to believe you must always be understood. You were trained to believe that other people's opinions are something you must correct, but you don't. You are not obligated to fight for your dignity in every room. You are not obligated to clarify yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You are not obligated to prove your worth to those who benefit from doubting it. The moment you stop doing that, you stop living as a performer in your own life. And this is where the shift happens. You begin to realize something quietly terrifying. There are people who never wanted truth from you. They wanted reaction. They wanted access. They wanted emotional control. That's why they provoked you. That's why they pushed your buttons. That's why they baited you into explaining. Because as long as you reacted, they felt powerful. When you stop reacting, you don't just remove conflict. You expose the dynamic, and exposure is where power begins. When you stop reacting, something strange happens in the minds of people who are used to controlling you. They become unsettled. They replay conversations. They wonder what you're thinking. They test you again. They escalate, not because you harmed them, but because your calm breaks their sense of control. Your silence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, they see their own insecurity. This is why boundaries provoke aggression in emotionally immature people. Your refusal to engage feels like rejection. Your calm feels like judgment. Your distance feels like superiority. But none of that is actually about you. It is about what your stability awakens in them. The uncomfortable awareness that they have been living off reactions, not respect. That the goal of silence is not cruelty. The goal is self-protection. It is emotional sovereignty. Real power isn't punishing people. Real power is staying stable while others try to destabilize you. It is the ability to walk away without explaining. It is the ability to let noise die on its own. It is the ability to keep your inner world clean. Most people confuse availability with kindness. They believe being accessible to everyone makes them good. But constant accessibility makes you common. And common is easy to use. When you answer every call, reply to every message, and engage every provocation, you teach people that your attention is cheap. You teach them they can summon you whenever they want. You become emotionally predictable, and predictability is what manipulators feed on. Selective presence is different. Selective presence is maturity. It means you choose where your energy goes. You choose who gets access. You choose what deserves your mind. You stop scattering yourself across drama. You stop investing emotional currency into people who only return chaos. You become careful with your attention, the way a wise person is careful with money. This is also where internal locus of control becomes your weapon. People with weak internal control live from the outside in. Their mood changes based on comments, criticism, gossip, approval, rejection. They are constantly adjusting themselves to the room. But the person with strong internal control lives from the inside out. Their emotional center does not move easily. They don't need external validation to feel stable. They don't need to win every conversation to feel powerful. And this is the moment you begin to feel something you may not have felt in a long time. Freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is being able to remain yourself under pressure. Freedom is not needing to perform. Freedom is not needing to defend. Freedom is not needing to chase. It is the quiet realization that you can survive discomfort without selling your dignity to escape it. This is why silence is so difficult. Silence forces you to sit with discomfort. It forces you to tolerate misunderstanding. It forces you to accept that some people will never get it. And that is the price of maturity. Because the mature mind stops needing everyone's approval. It stops needing everyone's understanding. It stops needing the world to agree. The more you practice this, the more your nervous system changes. You become harder to trigger. You become slower to react. You become emotionally disciplined. Not cold, not heartless, just stable. And stability is the rarest form of power in a world addicted to chaos. People will notice. They will test you. They will try to pull you back into the old dynamic. They will provoke you with insults, gossip, and guilt. They will say you changed. They will say you became distant. But what they really mean is, you became harder to control. And that is exactly the point. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to build a life that belongs to you. A life where your attention is invested in your purpose, your growth, your health, your mission, not wasted on petty noise. When you master this, you become emotionally untouchable. Not because nobody can hurt you, but because you stop handing people the keys to your mind. You stop giving strangers the power to ruin your day. You stop letting critics live rent-free in your thoughts. You stop feeding people who survive on your reaction. Your peace becomes private. Your energy becomes protected. Your presence becomes rare, and what is rare becomes valuable. So, if you've been bleeding attention into people who don't deserve it, let this be the moment you stop. Let this be the moment you become selective. Let this be the moment you understand that silence is not weakness. It is the highest form of self-respect. Because the strongest people in the room are not the loudest. They are the calmest. They are the ones who can walk away without needing the last word. They are the ones who can be misunderstood and still remain whole. They are the ones who do not chase. They do not explain. They do not beg for validation. They build, and the world adjusts.